Good evening, my fellow Taurians. Let me tell you of a tale of no bull. How will you be remembered in the years to come? For most of us, we'll be just dust in the wind shortly after we cease to exist. But there is one person that is almost immortal. Some of the people, William Shakespeare, lived more than 400 years ago. He was probably born on April 23rd, 1564. He was John and Mary Shakespeare's oldest surviving child. We do know that Shakespeare's life revolved around two locations: Stratford, which was a separate city next to London, which is now just a suburb. Okay. He grew up with he had a family. He bought property in Stratford, went to work in London, the center of English theater, as an actor, playwright, and partner in a leading acting company. He both became prosperous and well known. But all of this time, through his life, the bubonic plague, aka the Black Death, was making its rounds through Europe from 1582 to 1609. He got married to Anne Hathaway, which is strange there's a current Anne Hathaway, and had several children. After he left school in late 1582, he married Anne Hathaway, and she was expecting their first child, Susanna, which was a fairly common situation at the time. When they married, Anne was 26 and William was 18. Anne grew up outside Stratford in a village called Shottery. Plague broke out in London in 1593, forcing the theaters to close. Yes, but fear not. This was probably some of the best years to produce plays we all know to this day. Shakespeare turned his writing to poetry, and in 1593 Shakespeare published an erotic poem, Venus and Adonis, dedicated to Henry Wathesy, the third Earl of Southampton, a young courtier and favorite of Queen Elizabeth. Shakespeare's earliest plays include Henry VI, parts 1, 2, and 3, The Two Gentlemen of Verona, and Titus Andronicus. The sonnets were written at this time, though they were not published until 1609. In the last years of the 1500s, he became quite popular with the theater group the Lord's Chambermen, the company of actors. Shakespeare was the company's regular dramatist, producing an average of 2 plays a year for almost 20 years. He remained with the company for the rest of his career. During the time, it evolved into the King's Men under the patronage of King James I from 1603. During that time in the company, Shakespeare wrote many of his most famous tragedies. Altogether, Shakespeare's work includes 38 plays, 2 narrative poems, 154 sonnets, and a variety of other poems. But no original manuscripts from Shakespeare's plays were known to exist today. It is actually thanks to a group of actors from Shakespeare's company that we have half the plays at all. They collected the publication after Shakespeare died, preserving the plays. These writings were brought together in what was first known as the first folio. Folio refers to the size of the paper used. It contained 36 of his plays, but none of his poetry. The Globe Theatre, where many of Shakespeare's plays were first performed, had a complex history. The original Globe, built in 1599, burned down in 1613 due to a cannon fire during a performance. It was rebuilt the following year, but was ultimately torn down in 1644 by Puritans who banned theatrical performances. A modern reconstruction, known as Shakespeare's Globe, was built in 1997 and is near the original site. But yeah, as if you know, all the different plays, which are, there's Shakespeare groups all through the world. Even here, a friend and I were trying to go see, there was a little play up at Craig's Ranch called the Comedy of Errors, but that got rescheduled due to weather. And I've seen, they're at Spring Mountain Ranch, they have plays there. I've seen a few there, and they're quite abstract, from the original. There are so many variations of his plays, but there's a few interesting facts about William Shakespeare. He invented over 2,000 English words. Which is, how many words have you invented? He was also the actor and co-owner of the Globe Theatre, and he has a cursed grave next to a temple where he was placed. The family, the Shakespeares, subsequently died out, but leaving no direct descendants of the Shakespeare family. Sadly, was it much ado about nothing? And all the world is a stage, and all the men and women were merely players. They have their exits and entrances, and one person will play many parts. How will you play your part in this theater? Good night.